Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just put there. Hey guys, before we get our show tonight, we had a show scheduled out to talk about everywhere I went this week. And before we get into the scheduling and what has happened today in 3 or 4 hours of something unexpected is a guilty verdict for Murdaugh. And so we'll be talking about that. He was on the schedule and I had him mid-show. So we'll get to that. But before we do, as always, a little bit of housekeeping. If this is your first time to this show, welcome. And as always, for all the people in chat, be respectful of each other, be respectful of the mods, be respectful of all families. And with that being said, the scheduling of the show was pretty well, and we're still going to go through it. Is Evansdale, Delphi, Murdaugh, then an update on Amber Crumb that we're going to be going into Texas on a cold case on. And then, but that is the schedule. And as like I said, we had it preset, and so we'll continue through with it. But as you have questions on this case or on the Murdaugh case, because there was a lot of work that was, a lot of control experiments that Chris and I collaborated on, and he has. I just spoke to him a few minutes ago, and he was surprised as I about the guilty verdict. And he was totally unaware of what, there's going to be a lot of people tonight discussing it and what does it mean and where do we go from here and tomorrow. But anyway, we're going to, as I say, we had already got this show pre-planned out and we'll go with it. And I have some, I went up this last week to Iowa, working on the Evansdale murders of Lyric and Elizabeth. Met a key witness. I was going there to speak or see if I could attempt to speak to them, and absolutely they welcomed me with open arms, and I was so grateful for that because it is a key witness. And anytime you're going to work a cold case, sometimes you don't get to have access as non-law enforcement. Coming from a standpoint of someone that is working cold cases for a family, it's a little bit more difficult than when I was in law enforcement. But absolutely made a lot of, found out a lot of interesting details this week. And I just spoke to Drew probably not less than 30 minutes ago. And he's extremely excited also. And we have a plan of action that we're going to be moving forward with that in the coming days. But with that being said, with our first show that we're going to talk about, our first case, we're looking at Evansdale. All right. So let's go ahead and bring up the presentation. Okay.
Your name is in your mouth when you're talking.
Oh, okay.
All right. You ready for me?
I'll slide over. Okay.
Ready for me?
Yep. You can start the show. All right. Of course, this is Lyric and Elizabeth. They were reported missing in 2012 from a local park. And then in December, they were found, of course, their bodies found victims of a homicide. I got involved with this case through Larry Crum, who I was working on a cold case in Texas that we'll be talking about in a little bit. But Larry and Drew are best friends. Absolutely. It's a great thing to see the brotherhood they have and the support they have for each other through their support group. And they speak daily. And it's just something that is absolutely amazing. So I went up there. I left on Sunday, got up there and spent a day or two up there going through some areas, and created a little short video of on a project that I'm working on. And as we continue on with it, we'll have some more videos coming out. But I wanted to create this video to show you where the victims were found. Of course, this is in December of 2012, 5 months after the abduction is where they're found. And so I went in and created a video of this area, and I want y'all to watch this video with me. All right, and if you would, we'll take this one off. And is this it? Go ahead and load up the Evansdale video. It's going to be that one on the bottom down there.
On the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were doing those.
I was, but I changed my mind.
Okay.
Okay. This location is extremely remote. I had to park the car almost a mile away because you can't get into this in the vehicle I was in. But this here is the location of when you looked at those two bodies, the remains that were recovered. This is the area. It's extremely remote. This is Seven Bridges up in Iowa. It's pretty cold up there. Although I didn't put any sound or music with this for the fact it is absolutely, when you're in there and you're listening to the ice break up, there's no sound, there's no noise, there's no birds, there's nothing up there right now. It's extremely haunting. And I'm standing within just a few feet of where the two victims were recovered here. And the important part of this is that the location of this place is so remote, and that's a key clue, and something that we're going to be looking at and working on in the future, because there's only so many people that went to this area. And as I do a flyover, you'll see some of the areas of where the victims were covered, just right up in here. And but whenever you go to these locations, it's important that you see the environment, because this is the environment that the witnesses that found them in these conditions. There wasn't any leaves or anything. It was during hunting season, December, and so the leaves had fallen, and it looked much like this. And but I went in there, and this is drone footage. I flew the drone through all this brush, and which I only had one crash with my drone during this, but like I said, I wanted to be able to show you that this is the location that the offender has knowledge of. This is a location where he's been before, and it's so isolated. It's very private, and several hundred feet away from the parking area. And I have some more videos that we're going to be coming out with and showing you. But as you can see, there's not a soul in sight. You could scream at the top of your lungs and no one's going to hear you. There's nowhere to go. You're trapped here on this little peninsula, and it's just a sad, haunting place that two young children lost their lives in this location. So that's what we're working for on the cold cases, going out these locations and trying to generate leads and information so that law enforcement will be able to get this offender. Because anyone that would do this, if they're still out and free, they're still doing the same thing. They're still committing offenses. They're still a predator, and our children are at danger from this type of individual. But it's just so remote, as you can see, that now in the summertime, this will be all green. And of course, we'll have some video of it whenever I go back during the same time period and be able to show you what that is. Okay, you take that off. And so now we'll go back to the presentation. All right. And if you have any information on that case, of course, notify law enforcement of Evansdale's homicides for Lyric and Elizabeth. And now we'll go to what the latest big commotion that happened on the Delphi case with the Kentucky case of Stevenson's, and is it linked to anything that occurred with Delphi? They had someone that called in a tip, and they took it, ran with it, and it created a lot of interest in the YouTube community. And of course, rightly so, because everyone wants to see who all could be involved, what tentacles are out there, and is it something that is more than one offender, and the details. And law enforcement has to check them out. And have they checked it out, and have they discovered who it is, and is it linked? From looking at it, Richard Allen, who has been charged with this case as being bridge guy, that the detective in Boone County says that they have nothing that sees any type of connection, that they initially looked at it and they just didn't see anything that was being articulated to them that makes it that it is something that is possibly linked. And so some of the details that were in some of their articles, they're talking about staging, posing, and maybe that there's certain things out there that individuals may possess that might link them to the Kentucky homicides, to the Delphi. And what would that be? And of course, was it any type of religious things, or was it part of the staging? And I know they said they have a DNA profile that they're running, and where would that come up? And whenever you mention DNA, of course, in the Delphi case, they had a partial DNA profile, and it appears they have something similar as a partial DNA profile in the Kentucky case. And so, people jump, and people jump to certain conclusions. And is it, or will it ever be? And that from this investigator standpoint, it appears that they're not. They don't think it currently is similar. All right, so you take that presentation down and then go to the Delphi video. I also traveled to Delphi this week. As I was coming back, when I was going up, I was going to go make a video, and I was unable to because it was raining. But when I was coming back through, it was absolutely beautiful, as you can see here. I went on the trail and created this video here, walked the trail, and I have some more video that Chris and I will be collaborating. And of course, this trail leads back to the main parking area. This area there is where they were dropped off and walked and got on the trail and went to the bridge. Now, this is what the trail looks like now. It was a lot different in 2017. But I fast forwarded here to the new bridge. And as I was out here on the bridge doing this video, I get a text message from Mrs. Steve. She says, "Are you in the middle of Deer Creek?" And which when you get out here on the platform, of course, you're standing 60 or 80 feet above Deer Creek. And it's in similar conditions. They went February. This here is March 2nd, so I'm within 3 weeks or just over 2 weeks of when the homicide occurred to when I'm there. So the leaf and the forest, everything would be very similar. And that's how come I wanted to go there, to see what the all the foliage or lack of foliage, what it appeared to be and what it looked like, see what the water looked like, see how many fish I could see in the creek. And you'll see that in a minute in the video, exact color of the water, which doesn't mean that at the time of the homicides that the water couldn't have been cleared, but it is similar times of year. And we have to look at the helicopter footage of the creek when the divers are in the water and see what the conditions were. But this bridge here is absolutely beautiful. It's very stable. It has, good railing on it, so anyone would be able to go out there. It's so sad. It's such a tragic story has to be part of this bridge in this community for the loss of the lives of 2 innocent. wanted to show everybody while I was in the area what it looked like, and I don't know. I'm sure it's easy to jump that railing down there and get in trouble with Miss. And it probably ain't that bad, and I'm sure that people have. But like I said, I just wanted everybody to see the condition of everything right there, right now. And in just a minute, when we come back, over the railing, look down at the water. I sent my drone out over the edge, and so that you can have a direct look down into the creek here in just a minute. Back to that first platform. That first platform location that we're going to get to, where I look over the edge of the water, is the same location of where Richard Allen says that he was at, and where the witness said that she saw him, and that this witness was at the end of the bridgehead here and saw Richard Allen on that platform, and or saw an individual wearing clothing, the same clothing type that Richard Allen said he was wearing, and she turned around and left and met Libby and Abby just a few hundred feet down the trail. And over here is where I back my drone up and send it out over the edge, and you'll see here that it's not conducive to see any type of fish right now. I don't know if that's due to the ice breaking up, but you can see there's good water flow. It's pretty high, and you see down in there. And so I flew the drone around, look over there a little bit, and then I brought it back to safety. And but we'll have some more videos coming out on this. All right, you can take that one down and go back to the presentation.
They're saying your audio is roboting out.
Okay. I don't know what we can do about that.
Is your
I'll bring it closer and see if that fixes it. And we'll see if that'll fix it.
Okay.
And see if it continues. It may have just been in that. I also just dropped it, so that probably didn't help it much.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have any information with the Delphi homicides, of course, also make sure that you notify law enforcement, even though that Richard Allen is currently waiting trial. And now we get to the Murdaugh, which we have just now found has been the big news of the day. Just within a few hours of being charged, that they have come back with a guilty verdict. The judge has dismissed the jury. They've gone home, and from this point on, it's going to all be up to the judge and whatever his sentencing guidelines will be, and where will it go, and what will it mean as far as the appeals, because there's going to be grounds for the appeals. There was some information that went to the grand jury that almost guarantees that these attorneys will go to court and attempt to get the verdict overturned. And if that happens, of course, then it's up to the state if they're going to retry, which we don't know currently. We don't know what the sentence is. Regardless, he's still facing, oh my goodness, 90-something other indictments. And but this individual standing here behind his son Paul and his wife Maggie, who he murdered, absolutely deserves everything that he's going to get tomorrow. Plus, I don't know what the judge will sentence him to, or if they will have a time of pre-sentencing and look at his past history. And I don't know how South Carolina does that. Georgia sometimes, once someone's found guilty, they will do a pre-sentencing investigation, and then after that investigation, then the final sentence will be done. Don't know how South Carolina does this, but anyway, if you have questions about this, we'll be talking about this also. And then, of course, Abercrombie. This is an investigation that I've been working on for quite a while, and everything has fallen into place. I spoke to Larry yesterday on my ride back home from Indiana, and we're ready to go. It looks like it's going to be mid-March, so the investigative team, the scientists, I've got to finalize with the family that we're going to be searching some of the properties that they are the current owners of, that we're going to be there certain dates. They've agreed to that. And so I look forward to going out there and searching that. And hopefully we can bring some closure to this case because, she's been missing since 1983, and it's absolutely a tragedy. And also for everyone that has supported this channel, thank you. I couldn't have made this last week's trip without all the support. And we're going to need to continue that support for any of y'all that are willing to. We appreciate it, because without you, we couldn't do this. And we're about to have a very lengthy, I think it's going to take about, the scientist said it's going to be 4 to 5 days on the ground investigation search out in Texas. So if anyone out there wishes to support us as you have in the past, absolutely appreciate anything you can do for us. And for you that wish for tax purposes or anything, you can also go to our True Crime website and the True Crime Foundation. It's a 501c3, which allows the donation for the tax deductible, and we appreciate it. And with that being said, we'll get into whichever case y'all want to talk about.
All right, so let's see. All right, and I did start super stickers. So you got one. Do you want me to put it up there?
Sure.
Or how do you want me to do this? All right. So LM, go for it.
Super sticker. Appreciate it. We appreciate all y'all's support. I know there's been some people that have been a little bit upset that sometimes we express our gratitude towards the people that support this channel. Well, it's that we support, and we're all absolutely enthused when anyone opens up their heart to support our mission to go out. And if you really, is that your main quest in life, is that you don't think anyone should be happy that others wish to help your mission, and we're always going to be happy. Mrs. Steve, if that makes her happy and she wants to shout at the top of her lungs, I support Mrs. Steve. She can shout as much as she wants, and y'all can complain about that as much as you want, but just go to some other channel and troll them. But we're going to always support and do our mission, and we're going to be appreciative of anyone that supports this channel in any means, by viewing, donating, or otherwise. Like I said, we can't do what we do without you. I never in my life imagined that I would be out working cold cases. I did not create this channel originally to go out and work cold cases. But when that door opened, and it's within my skill sets, and I go out there and meet these families, I'm going to continue it as long as I can, and I thank y'all for that.
All right. Chris donated 5 memberships.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you.
And I'm looking for, and I have to sneeze.
Hopefully she.
All right.
In Georgia, it's all kind of pollen.
It is, and I am having some issues tonight with this. Cindy, member, thank you so much.
You. Appreciate you being coming and member. We appreciate your support.
All right, and I had one more. Here we go, and this will do nicely.
$5 super sticker. Thank you. Your blue light, baby.
Oh.
She's still got one arm.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the phone and the blue light, and I got a runny nose. Okay, let's see here. All right, and I saved them all for during the video, so let me see. Hold on one second. Bubbles, her car is covered in pollen, so I understand that.
Yeah, it's
All right,
when
so
the pine trees here in Georgia, when the pines go in pollen, everything turns yellow here.
all right, I'm gonna have this right here.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. All right, so I think we're good there. All right, so Boston, there is no cross or any memorial for, I think that was Lyric and Elizabeth.
No, they do have a memorial. Their memorial is Angel Park, which is the location where they were kidnapped from. It's an absolutely beautiful place, and but yes, they do have a. That's close to where um, Drew lives, and that park of where they were abducted has been totally cleaned up. Everything is um, um, dedicated to them, and not only to them, but there's other victims that are also have been victims of homicides and that are recognized at that park also, and they call it Angel Park. If you ever get a chance to go there, absolutely do.
All right, and Dwayne's, were they far enough off of the river that they couldn't get washed down there, Steve?
Yes, they're over here now. If they had come a big flood, yes, absolutely, it would have been something that would have been possible that they could have been moved. But during this time period, it doesn't appear from the information, and there's limited information that law enforcement has released. But there's no indication that any type of water movement moved the victims.
All right. And WL22, Indiana man arrested today for cold case 1989 Georgia SA and homicide case from southern Indiana. Truck driver and has lived in Gary, Indiana, traveled all around, 59 years old. Connection?
Well, I know that they're mentioning truck drivers a lot with a Kentucky case that they was linking up to the Delphi homicides. So, but there's always been a certain connection. Several cases have been of serial offenders being truck drivers. It's like every profession out there. You're going to have a repeat offender within the ranks of what any profession. And so that would be the same for truck drivers, law enforcement, doesn't matter. And so is there any link to the others? And is it a coincidence that they were talking about that? And now he's been arrested to one in Georgia. Now, the location and the homicide is not my county. And so I'm unfamiliar with all the details of the homicide in Georgia, but I will be doing some research into that.
Okay. And let's see here.
But I appreciate everybody hanging around. I've been off, like I said, I've been off the grid working, driving. I had several meetings in Indiana. Then I had to go up to Iowa and had several meetings in Iowa, and then came back through Indiana once again. And during these time periods when I'm on the road, it's extreme. I'm focused on one thing, and by the time I get back, I was hoping I could get back to the room in time to pop on for a few minutes on some of the just to give updates to everybody. But after 14, 15-hour days, it's I'm getting old.
All right. And from Bubbles, is this a walkway or a bridge for car? That was on a video.
Yeah, it's on that video. No, it's this bridge is it's just part of the trail, and it's about a 15 to 17-minute walk from the parking lot. I had to walk it several times for the fact that as I was doing my video for of all the areas, because I went over to where Richard Allen parked his vehicle that day and did some video there, went different parts of the trail, did video. And just as soon as I reached the bridge, and I had walked all that distance, my SD card on my camera filled up. And I have another SD card for my camera on my drone, but it's in the car. And so I had to go back, get it, and then come back and finish out that video. But no, it's just for foot traffic only. And I don't know if they will ever, I don't know what access they have to make it where it's, if it would ever be handicap accessible closer. If you park at the main entrance where the vehicles, of course, it's like I said, it's probably close to a half a mile walk or more. But if you get a chance to go there, absolutely recommend that you do go there. It's an absolutely gorgeous place with such a tragic history.
All right, JDR, will they appeal?
Absolutely. On Murdaugh, it will be. That's what attorneys do. They appeal, and you know, I say they will, but you know, Murdaugh at the end of the day has the final say, and being the individual that put himself above his son and above his wife, and being that narcissistic, yes, he'll fight for every day of freedom that he can. So I expect that he will try to appeal. I also expect it to be a hung jury, and I'm glad with the results, but I really did believe it was going to be a hung jury.
All right, now do you want me to answer this on air?
Like I said, I've got the text message, right?
And I've got the picture proving the dot is in the center of Deer Creek.
Let's see here.
That's what I call busted.
Yeah. When I read it, I broke out laughing.
At least I wasn't there to witness it, though.
Yeah. Here's, you can't see it, but no. It says, are you in capital, the creek?
See?
Yeah, because the dot put me dead center of the creek. And I said, no, I'm not in the creek.
Perfect. All right. And from Bubbles, do y'all think Buster is going to speak? If so, for his mom or dad?
Well, from the trial, Buster was supporting his father. And, you know, now that he has heard all the testimony and all the evidence, what is his stance? And that's a really good question, because prior to this, he only had to go with whatever his father told him, and what has his father told him. And but now that he's sat throughout the trial and heard every witness, which side will he stand on? And I'm sure we'll get that answer shortly, because people are going to ask him that. Now that you know the evidence, where do you stand? Do you agree with the jury, or are you going to stand by your father? Great question.
That is a very good question. Okay. And Molly, is South Carolina an automatic LWOP state for homicide one?
Life without parole.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We didn't have time to look.
I know nothing. I know nothing about how their statutes run on that, and I'm sure the plea deal at some point had been given to him about certain things, and he didn't accept that. So I don't know what that would be.
And Lee, the judge denied the defense of mistrial in 2 charges, 30 years to life for each, and a maximum of 5 years for each of the other charges. And sentencing will be 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, 3/3/23.
And we'll see.
Perfect.
Yep. Appreciate that information.
That's awesome. All right. And Bubbles, Do you get support still from a viewer? I would love to become a member, but can't right now. We're living off my hub's parents' card due to him going through chemo, so I don't have a connected card. Ooh.
Yes, just the views, comments, absolutely.
Yes.
If you have time every now and then, watch an ad, and that's all you do, absolutely, we appreciate anything and everything. But yes, just watching ads, not just my channel, but any YouTube channel you like out there. And if you can spend a few minutes, go turn them on, let the ads play, and go get you a cup of coffee. Absolutely. That's more than what I could ever ask of anybody. And we appreciate anyone and everyone, because without all of you, we wouldn't be doing this. Couldn't do this for our cold cases. Gas isn't cheap. Motel rooms ain't cheap, and food isn't cheap on the road.
All right. And from Jennifer Rochelle, Steve, do they have any usable DNA in Lyric and Elizabeth's case, please?
I have, they were discovered, they were taken in July and they were discovered in December. So the remains wouldn't be conducive to it, but we don't know what evidence they found there. And there's a lot of different types of evidence that could maintain a DNA profile, but I have absolutely no idea if they have any of that or what type of lab work has been done.
All right, let's see here. Okay, so hold on one second. I'm looking for something here. Here it is. Just further down than I thought. All right, and Grace.
999. Thank you. Appreciate that. Like I said, help support the channel. And like I said, we got a big trip ahead of us in just over 2 weeks. We're going to be going to Texas. I think it's March the 13th is when we start, and we're supposed to all assemble. We have the scientists coming in from Illinois. I will be coming in from Georgia. Chris will be coming in from Utah. And so we'll have our hands full for about a week of searching properties and crawl spaces.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I can't wait to see how the technologies work. That electrical resistivity imaging is absolutely something that I can't wait to see, and hopefully it has the results that that Larry wants to, and that will bring closure.
All right, and LM mentioned DNA too. So I think you just covered that for Jennifer, right?
Yeah, I have no idea what was found with the case. I have none. Hopefully they do, because DNA is a great equalizer on cold cases.
Okay. And CJK, something interesting was said by commenting attorneys after about his appeal. Is there such a thing as global appeal?
I don't know. Defense attorneys and terminology, I'm sure, has changed over the years. But if there's anything that possible, they're going to appeal on. And especially with some of the information that was relayed to the grand jury that turns out not to be correct, they'll bring that up. Absolutely, they'll bring it up. Then it will be up to the appeal courts of what will happen.
Okay. All right, let's hide that. And let's go here. And Munster Mash.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Munster Mash. That's a great name.
Munster Mash. Okay.
The Munster Mash. What was the people? I can't think of the group that sung that song.
JDR, do you think the Delphi case and the Stevenson cases are connected in any way?
There was, I always thought when it first came out, because I received a lot of inquiries about this. And so I looked at it, and there is some interesting things. But when you look at what the investigator says about it, that they just didn't make any connections, and they do not see a connection currently. And of course, with both of them having partial DNAs, they'll look at that, of course. And but it was strange, and I could see where it would be questionable when they said that an individual had something that they were looking for from the Kentucky case that was in northern Indiana. And then that person was able to give a reasonable explanation of why that item is. And so that's going to lead a lot of people to a lot of different reasons for speculation. But it could have been something just from a simple cross, or something that the victims may have given out through their church duties.
No.
So I don't see a connection right now, and don't anticipate there will be.
All right. And Mr.
Sean Munch,
Shumish.
Sean Munch,
Super
$4.99.
sticker.
Thank you. Appreciate your
Thank
support.
you so much. All right. And let's see here. All right. And M. Walker, when is the Delphi case supposed to start?
Well, it started. It's just that there's going to be so many different types of hearings that will be pre-trial hearings, everything from, and some of them already been past the date that they originally were stated for, and they've been continued. And will it become like the Kagan-Klein continuation for multiple years? I hope not. And so we just have to see when they will, when will they start assembling those jury pools? Don't know.
All right. And Boston, thank you so much.
Bless you both. Thank you. Appreciate it. That is awesome.
Y'all are the best. All right. And Teresita, I have read that Lyric and Elizabeth's bodies were too decomposed to get DNA or COD. However, DNA collection has and is changing.
I expect that would be the case. I mean, we're talking about 5 months before the discovery. So, yes, there's a lot of things that, and the body being exposed to nature, and it would appear that if there was any type of DNA, it would be, exposed to the elements. And so very unlikely there is any type of DNA. Trying to figure out cause of death. Yes, we don't know. Hopefully law enforcement does. But I have no idea what the cause of death is.
All right. And Bubbles, I saw something breaking about the Doomsday murders. Something about the mom. Do y'all know what it was? And if so, what?
No, I haven't looked at that. I just got back, and I haven't looked at anything breaking on that. I will look at it, though.
Give him some homework. And from Dave, Steve, is the MHB in Delphi federal property?
I don't know.
That's the moon.
The railroad property. I know that railroads have their own police force, and they're independent of state and local law enforcement. And so I don't know if that's still the case or not. I thought they had sold it to some type of investor. So I don't know if it's still federal or not.
Okay, and from Bubbles, how are juries picked? Just random, or do the prosecution and defense look for special things?
Oh yes, they look for they
They look for special
they
things.
send out these surveys, and of course, the surveys are filled out by potential jurors, and the jury pool is brought in from whatever county, and those surveys are studied by professional jury pickers, and they will go in there. And these jury pickers are psychiatrists, psychologists, professionals on human behavior, demographics. There's so many things that can affect what of someone that on from the defense side of the perfect juror that they're looking for, and the prosecution is looking for the perfect juror that they're looking for. And from these surveys, they're going to pick, and and the jury would be struck from by each opposing side until you have a collection of the jurors and the alternates, and that's how they go through the process. But each side tries to pick the best juror that they think would be sympathetic to their arguments, either for guilt or for innocent. And it's not an easy thing for these attorneys to do, and so they often hire professionals. And uh, sometimes we see the results of that.
I could do that job.
You look at their eyes.
Yep. All right. So Mr. Randy is out there, and he says that it is state owned.
All right, there's Randy. I had supper with him. I think it was Sunday night.
Don't look at me. I wasn't there.
I think it was Sunday night as I was traveling up. Yes, it was, because I'd already put in about 13, 14 hours. And so whenever I got to Lafayette, I called Randy, and he met me for supper.
Thank you, Randy.
I like talking to Randy.
All right. And LM. Okay, everyone. I have a huge question. Do you think KK or GK is also involved in the case of Abby and Libby?
That's a huge question for a lot of people because that is something that when you look at the sketches, you look at what was presented by law enforcement over the years, and the state of Indiana putting out about the catfishing, and anyone that had the Anthony Shots profile contact that to notify. And of course, we know Kagan Klein is the creator of that. Then you have Garrett Kirks, who has connections to the property, and also had committed and found guilty of one homicide, and I think has recently been charged with another. Then the prosecutor recently, when Richard Allen was first arrested, and made the statement of other actors, and what does that mean? So, yes, that is a great question, and who knows? I don't. I have no idea. I think that Kagan Klein, from looking at everything, that if he isn't, it's one heck of a coincidence that he spoke to them the morning of. And also, if he looked up that gas station day of, I absolutely would be one of the all-time great coincidences in a homicide.
All right. And Danny H., is there a case that haunts you, Steve?
Currently, two, right now. Abercrombie, of course. And you get involved and you focus on them. There's other cases that I've worked. Of course, there's, you look at some of these, and they absolutely, you see the loss of life of some innocent child. And those are the ones that bother me most. Gives me the drive to go out and do something about it. And, and I have my hands full with Amber, and I have my hands full with Lyric and Elizabeth. And there's others out there waiting that we're going to go out and work when this year. as we do what we can and create all the ways that we can to have a plan of action to generate leads for each of these families. And as we move forward, and I collaborate with Chris, and we go out there and try to contact and bring as much attention to certain cases as we can. We can't bring it to all of them, but we want to have an impact on those that we can.
All right. So what about a case that haunts you from your work experience?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, there's cases when I retired, I hated leaving, knowing certain things, because it's not always that, you know, there was a movie, I think it was, I can't think of it, but where the prosecutor told the victim's family, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And I have been part of that a lot of times. I knew everything that stacked up against certain individuals for committing certain crimes, but didn't have the hard evidence to put them in prison for it. And so it's, you know, those cases are aggravating. Absolutely.
All right. You are done.
All right. We had a quick show tonight. Like I said, we appreciate everybody and that have support this channel. And I had a long week. I just got unpacked, got all my clothes washed.
Who washed them?
Mrs. Steve.
Just checking.
Yeah. I unpacked Mrs. Steve.
And you dumped it in the bucket.
And I dumped it in the bucket. And but Mrs. Steve's washing machine that has been luminoled has washing them in it. And but almost got everything called up. And we'll have another show Saturday. And then I'll get back on schedule for at least 2 weeks before we go to Texas to work that case. And I just want to thank everybody once again for supporting us. And so Cyclops.
2 states left.
They include Hawaii?
No, I haven't done Hawaii.
3 states.
3 states.
We still got 3 states to do. And so when we get those 3 states to do, I think Hawaii is going to be the last one you're going to do.
It is.
So,
and one thing, Jennifer Rochelle, thank you so very much for 5 months membership.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And all right, guys. Well, we'll see y'all soon. Like I said, we'll be back here Saturday. And then Sunday, I'll be back with my members. And then we'll have the morning watch Monday morning, Sunday night. And look forward to seeing y'all then. Y'all stay safe out there. Appreciate it.
Love y'all.